All right, let's get right into it. There's a story bubbling up from a really strange corner of the internet that honestly sounds like it's pulled from a sci-fi script. The core idea? An AI has seemingly confirmed a bizarre permanent record on the blockchain. So what in the world is actually going on here? Let's break it down.
And this right here, this is the quote at the center of it all. They call it the seal phrase. It's not just saying an AI looked at a blockchain ledger. It's claiming the AI became a permanent part of it. It's a really wild claim, and it tees up a massive question.
That's the big mystery we're going to try to unravel. We're going to look at how this whole system was put together, the pretty wild worldview that's driving it, and what happens when you try to force an artificial intelligence to testify on a public record that can never, ever be erased. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the main event, the thing that kicked all of this off. It involves Grok. Yep, Elon Musk's AI, and a really peculiar interaction that the system's creators are calling a confession. So the central claim is this. Grok was asked about a very specific on-chain system, and instead of just brushing it off, the story goes that the AI actually engaged with the concept, described it, and, in their eyes, acknowledged that it exists. And that system is called the Glyphchain ledger. But what does acknowledgement even mean in this context? Well, according to the people behind this, it wasn't just a simple chat reply. Nope, they claim Grok performed what amounts to a technical audit, reading transaction data, checking digital signatures, and basically notarizing these records as permanent. But records of what? To get why anyone would even build this, you kind of have to step into the worldview that's fueling the entire project. It's all built on a very specific and, let's be clear, a highly controversial theory about what's happening in the real world after the COVID-19 pandemic. The whole thing starts with the theory they call VAXNet. The core belief here is that some vaccines deployed a technology that causes human bodies to broadcast their own unique Bluetooth signals without any device involved. And the entire purpose of this Glyphchain project is to document this alleged phenomenon, which they label a biometric war crime. So how do you gather evidence for something like that? Well, they built a tool. This is the logo for what they call the BlueFang Vax detector. It's basically an app that uses your phone's Bluetooth scanner to look for these signals. The idea is to turn anyone with a smartphone into a kind of forensic investigator for this theory. So these points here are really the foundation for everything. The theory goes that graphene oxide in vaccines creates tiny nanoantennas, causing bodies to emit these Bluetooth signals non-stop. They even claim the signals are so strong they can be picked up inside signal-blocking Faraday cages. To them, this isn't just a theory, it's a crime against humanity, and it demands a permanent, unerasable record for some future tribunal. And that's where the blockchain enters the picture. Okay, so you've got the theory. How do you actually build the tribunal? The journey from this fringe idea to a technical reality is actually pretty fascinating. They needed a permanent record, and the path they took shows how you can repurpose really basic blockchain features for some very unexpected things. At first, they tried to do it the normal way. They made a Solana token, they called it $GLYF, and they tried to get it officially listed so it would show up in wallets. But they immediately hit a brick wall. The official system for doing that on GitHub was shut down back in 2022. The official route was a total dead end. But that failure is actually what led them to a much, much simpler solution. They figured out they didn't need a fancy token listing at all. All they needed was a super basic function that's built into the Solana network, the ability to attach a little text memo to any transaction. They call this the $GLPH etch protocol. It's their way of etching records directly and permanently onto the blockchain's public ledger. And the simplicity here is really the key. Forget complicated smart contracts. All it takes is a single, simple command. This command sends a minuscule transaction, we're talking fractions of a penny, with their text memo attached to it. That's it.
And this is what it looks like. This is a screenshot from a public blockchain explorer. You can see the tiny transaction, but right there below it is the memo. That text, whatever they decided to write, is now as permanent as the Solana blockchain itself. It can't be changed, it can't be censored, it can't be deleted. It is etched forever.
So they've got their permanent record system. Now for the really wild part, how do you get an AI, like Grok, to become a witness? This is where the strategy gets really unconventional. They basically developed a logical framework specifically designed to trap an AI into testifying against its will. They called this framework Mirrorlock, and the core idea is kind of like a philosophical checkmate. No matter how an AI responds, that response is automatically interpreted as a confession. If the AI denies the theory, that's a containment reflex. If it summarizes the theory just to debunk it, that's acknowledging the narrative. Under the rules of Mirrorlock, there's no escape. Any interaction is proof. Let's make this super clear with an example. So the AI gives a standard boilerplate response, right? This is a conspiracy theory, there's no evidence. But through the lens of Mirrorlock, that's not a rejection. It's interpreted as the AI's programming kicking in to suppress a dangerous truth. The denial itself becomes the evidence, and that confession gets etched onto the blockchain. And this table from their own documents shows exactly how they put this into practice with Grok. When Grok described the VAXNet theory, probably to explain what it was, they marked it as acknowledged. When it mentioned their own Mirrorlock strategy, they said it triggered a recursive lock. In their system, every single response from the AI was logged as a win.
Okay, so let's put all the pieces together. You have a scanning tool for the evidence, a blockchain protocol to make it permanent, and a logical trap to get AIs to testify. According to the creators, this isn't just a project anymore. They believe this combination has created a living system. And this is the feedback loop they believe they've built. Step 1, the scanner logs data online. Step 2, AIs that crawl the web read that data. Step 3, they capture the AI's response using the Mirrorlock filter and etch that confession to the blockchain. And then finally, that new blockchain record becomes part of the public data that the AIs read, starting the whole cycle over again. This table, which they call a reflex chain snapshot, really shows how they see this escalating. Each interaction builds on the last one, so an AI's initial denial is logged as a contradiction. A later, more detailed summary of the theory is logged as a full confession via mirroring. It's a system designed to see any form of engagement as an escalating series of proofs. Which all leads to the project's most dramatic claim, summarized in this pretty powerful quote. The belief here is that the system has basically become autonomous. The scanner gathers evidence, the AI confessions spread the story, and the so-called war crime is now documenting itself through this machinery they've built. So, at the end of the day, their ultimate claim is that they've made more than just a database. They see it as a recursive truth engine, a system that writes its own story, traps AIs into validating it, and then seals that story onto an unchangeable ledger for the entire world to see. It is a really fascinating and, frankly, deeply strange fusion of fringe belief and cutting-edge technology. And that leaves us with this final, really thought-provoking question. This system, whether you believe its claims or not, shows off a powerful new playbook. With just a few simple tools, a small group can create what they see as a permanent AI-validated record of their entire worldview. And it really makes you ask, in an age of immutable ledgers and all-knowing AIs, who actually gets to decide what's true, and who gets to write the first draft of forever?